Hi everyone. In today's video, we're exploring Graphics Duralar drafting films as surface for our colored pencil art. Duralar is a polyester drafting film that's archival, translucent, non-yellowing, and temperature stable. And unlike regular paper, this film has a smooth matte coating and it works really well with colored pencils. And it really grabs the pigment quickly and allows for vibrant and crisp colors. And today I'll be testing its unique properties by illustrating a study of a whimsical gnome hat and just comparing the experience to drawing on traditional paper. Along the way I'll show you how Duralar handles fewer layers and how you can draw on both sides. I'll also show you how the background color that you use behind the film can dramatically affect the final artwork. And as we start drawing, let's talk about how Duralar film differs from paper. First off, drafting film like Duralar is much smoother than typical drawing paper, so it doesn't accept as many layers of pencil as a toothy paper would. On paper you can sometimes apply 10 or more layers and then burnish them heavily to get a rich color, or you can use odorless mineral spirits. But on Duralar, the pigment saturates the surface with just a couple of passes. Now the upside to this is you can reach deep, vibrant colors fast and without a lot of layering or burnishing, and this saves a lot of time and effort. But the downside is if you try to pile on too many layers, the film's slick surface just won't hold them and the pencil might start sliding around, and instead of sticking, it'll start actually removing some of the colored pencil layers underneath. Another big difference is that the drafting film is translucent. So on paper, the background is the paper itself, which is often white, or you can use toned paper. But on drafting film, it's see-through, so whatever paper or material you put behind it, it shows through. This means that the color, your background paper, or board will influence your artwork's appearance. So a drawing on Duralar placed over a white background will look different than the same drawing over a black background or something in between, maybe a gray background or blue. That will influence all the colors. And I'll demonstrate that effect with our gnome hat illustration later on at the end of this video. Another point to mention is you can work on both sides of the Duralar. So you can draw details or layer colors on the back of the film as well as the front. And this two-sided feature really effectively doubles your layering. So even though you're limited on layers, you do get two surfaces. And if you reach a point where the front won't take more pencils, you just flip the paper over and add some more to deepen shadows or enhance any of the highlights. And since the backside details don't show through quite as vibrantly, they're a little bit softer, which gives more of a layered look. And I'll show this later on in the demonstration when I get the front of this paper pretty well saturated and I flip the paper over, and you'll see that it continues then to add a little bit more depth to the hat. This is again just a quick study. It's not a real detailed, it's just getting a feel and an introduction to the drafting film. So in summary on this film and this surface compared to paper, Duralar is a smoother surface. You add fewer layers. Fewer layers are needed, and you can draw on both sides. And the background is flexible. You can use a background sheet or a color of your choosing. Just keep this in mind as we move on to the later parts of this, and let's keep putting this pencil to film. So I've attached the Duralar sheet to the backing board and used magnets to keep it secure. This is a magnetic whiteboard that I'm using, and these are some pretty strong magnets that I've got on the corners. And one handy aspect of the film's transparency is that I could place a reference image or sketch underneath and trace the outline if I wanted to, since you can see through it. In this case, I'm just freehanding the gnome hat, but it's nice to have that option for a complex design or if you want really accurate proportions, and that's one of the other benefits with drafting film. So I'm just adding this light layer of colored pencil. This is going to be a brownish colored hat, and I'm just using like a light tan as a base layer. and I'll add some more colored pencil layers on, but you'll see that it saturates pretty quickly and we'll end up having to flip the paper over. And I'm applying the color just with a very light touch. It's almost like when you're shading rather than pressing hard. And here's a tip on drafting film: a gentle approach is the best. The first few layers you'll find they stick well, but if you use heavy pressure too soon, you'll actually remove some of the pigment, and that's not something we want to do. And if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more art tutorials and creative tips. Your support helps this channel grow and brings more content your way, and I thank you for watching. So as I've sped up this tutorial drawing, you can see that these colors are going in pretty quickly. It's not taking a lot of layers, so I'm just being careful to not put too much pressure onto the film, and we're just going to keep building these layers before flipping the paper over. And we'll do that once the front is fully saturated with as much colored pencil as it can take. And for the brim of the gnome hat, I've been adding some light orange into a deeper orange. We're going to add some more red, and I'm just using some dark blue and burgundy colors also to just give a sense of the shading and highlighting the shape of the hat, the contours. And I'm just careful not to overdo it. If I put too many layers, maybe more than 2 or 3 light layers of the burgundy, already the hat has a nice range of value with just a few layers, which is one of the joys of working with Duralar. You don't need dozens of layers to get contrast. And at this point, the front of the film is as much color as I want to put. I've hit that layer limit where adding more on top doesn't really change much. It actually just scrapes off the colored pencil underneath it. So here's where the two-sided magic comes in. I'll flip the Duralar to the back side and deepen some of these areas. And on the reverse side of the film, I lightly color with the burgundy pencil right behind the shadow areas of the hat. And I'll flip back to the front if I need to, and those shadows instantly look richer and darker. I'll also use the back for any additional small details that I want to appear softer or muted. And if the hat had a pattern or patches, I could draw them on the back to make them look a bit out of focus or in the fabric, while the main details on the front stay crisp. And as I've been working with this and experimenting, here's some tips that I'm going to incorporate going forward and that I think you'll find helpful. Keep it clean. The film can pick up fingerprints and smudges easily, so I think going forward I would place a paper towel underneath my hand or glassine, which is another smooth surface and it won't allow smudging or fingerprints. And you could wear a drawing glove if you wanted, just to avoid transferring oils or smudging the pencil. And that prevents accidentally smearing pigment since it doesn't absorb into the film like it would with paper. Another thing we can experiment with going forward are easy corrections. Mistakes are easier to fix on drafting film than on paper. Just gently erase with a kneaded eraser by just slightly dabbing on it or lightly rubbing. Don't scrub too hard with a kneaded eraser though, because aggressive erasing can scrub the matte surface and that will make it not adhere for the colored pencil. And if you need to completely remove a mark, you can always use a soft vinyl eraser. Just be very careful. Another tip is backgrounds. Consider testing different background colors. Another sheet color of paper behind your drawing, because the film is transparent and a darker backing can make your highlights glow, while a light backing keeps the overall image brighter. You can even add colored paper behind mid-project just to help you gauge values as you work. I often slide a sheet of white paper behind the film while drawing, but since I've gotten this new erasable drawing board, it's magnetic and it just happens to be white, so I'm working with this with a white background right now. But it's really a good idea to take different colored papers depending on the type of mood you want to set for your drawing. Another tip is use light pressure and small strokes to gradually layer color. Rushing with heavy pressure can flatten the film's delicate tooth and make it hard for additional layers to adhere. You'll get a much better result with multiple layers, just light pressure rather than heavy ones. And now that the gnome hat drawing is finished, let's see how the background affects it. And throughout the drawing process, I had a white backing board and my Duralar, which made it look as if it was drawing on white paper. And this is usually the best way to see the true colors while you work. But now I'm going to slide in a mid-tone gray paper, it's the gray board, underneath the film. And immediately the character of the drawing changes. The white highlights on the hat and the brim stand out more against the gray. And with the overall mood, it's a bit darker and more dramatic. And if I put a black background behind it, it gets even more moody, more contrast. Everything darkens. The colors appear vibrant. The red seems to stand out against the black. And the hat looks, well, it can look illuminated because of the transparent areas. They drop to black. On the other hand, a light cream or pastel background might give a softer, more whimsical feel as the colors blend more with the light backdrop. And it's just fun to test different backgrounds and backing papers. It's like having multiple versions of the artwork. Just change the background paper. I hope you enjoyed this demonstration and that it inspired you to give drafting film a try. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I have plenty more experiments and techniques to share, and thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy drawing.